And we are back. Welcome back to the channel now. With the Euros and the Copa America both taking a break today, it gives me an opportunity to have a discussion with you guys about the biggest topic going around at the moment, which is, of course, how should England approach the game against Switzerland? Are you still in the camp that wants it to come home? I certainly am, wearing my It's Coming Home shirt. But there are so many people that I've spoken to recently saying that the desperation to get Gareth Southgate out of the England manager's job should come at the expense of England progressing any further in this Euros. Now, firstly, that's the first thing I want you to talk about down in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on that. Do you want Southgate out that badly that it means you would rather England lose just to get him out? Because the expectation would be, if we do go on to win this tournament, Gareth Southgate will remain in charge for the World Cup in 2 years' time. And it's a tough one for me because obviously I've been a massive advocate for Southgate leaving since all the way back in 2018. But I also desperately want to see England win. There is nothing I want more than to see England win this tournament, but then obviously the World Cup in 2 years' time. So that is the first question to you guys. What's more important, Southgate leaving or England winning these European Championships? Let me know in the comment section below. But for today's video, as I said, I'm going to discuss all the different options that are available to us for this upcoming game against Switzerland, how I think we should play, how I think Gareth Southgate is going to play us, and then we can obviously discuss all the other variants and let me know in the comments what you think the lineup we should play, what formation we should play, what tactics we should employ, what you believe is the best chance of getting us the result against Switzerland. Before we get into it, as always, if you haven't done so already, please do consider dropping a like on this video and subscribing to the channel if you're new around here. We tend to do a few discussions like this dotted across the year about England, or obviously for myself, for Manchester United as well. So without any further ado, let's get straight into it. And as we bring up the blank formation chart, for those of you that are watching, for those of you that are listening, I will of course explain each of the formations as they come through. So we'll start off with the obvious one, which is of course option one, leaving things exactly as they are. Pickford in goal, Walker at right back, Stones at centre back, Trippier or Shaw at left back. I'm putting them together because there's a lot of talk about Luke Shaw potentially being fit for this game, so I think it will be one or the other, and as things stand right now, we don't know for certain which one it will be. Two holding midfielders of Kobbie Mainoo and Declan Rice, Saka on the right, Foden on the left, Bellingham in the middle, and Harry Kane up front, which of course leaves the big glaring hole at left centre-back of Mark Guehi, who is of course suspended, despite arguably being England's best player at this tournament so far. So the first question in terms of the actual lineup is who comes in to replace Mark Guehi, and there are three options for this. There is Joe Gomez, Lewis Dunk, and Ezri Konsa. Now, for me, it can't be Lewis Dunk, in my opinion. I just don't think he's international level. We spoke about it when he picked the initial squad. Me and my mate spoke about it when we did our podcast. It just shouldn't be Lewis Dunk. He probably shouldn't even be in the squad. I'd have had Tomori ahead of him. I would have still picked a relatively unfit Maguire ahead of him. So it's not going to be Lewis Dunk. So for me, it's between Joe Gomez and Ezri Konsa. And I think Gareth Southgate showed his hand with who he brought on the other night, which is, of course, Ezri Konsa. So option one completed would be the exact same lineup with Ezri Konsa at left centre-back instead of Mark Guehi. And genuinely, it would not surprise me if this is Gareth Southgate's starting lineup against the Swiss. I really think this is probably the most likely lineup. Obviously, as we go further into this video, there is another option I think he might take. But I think right now this is probably the 75-80% chance starting lineup. It's not what I would do though. With Guehi now unavailable and with how the Swiss play, my choice, if we were to continue playing 4-2-3-1, would be to put Kyle Walker at centre-back, move John Stones over to the left, and I would bring Trent in at right-back. I keep going on about it. He is best utilised at right back, it seems, especially the way we play. We have been so desperate to have creativity from that right-hand side. Trippier on the left just isn't working. I wouldn't even complain that if Luke Shaw is fit, you play Luke Shaw at left back and you play Trippier at right back with Walker and Stones in the middle. We're so crying out for that creativity, those balls coming in from the right-hand side or the left-hand side, because when Trippier's out on the left, all he does is play it inwards rather than actually getting balls in behind. Whereas if he was on the right and Walker was on the left, it would still make more sense because then at least we still have those attacking balls forward. So that's what I would do in terms of the back line. My back line would be Trent, Walker, Stones, and then one of Trippier and Shaw, hopefully Luke Shaw. And then the midfield would be relatively the same. However, I'm going to update it once again because what I would do is then this. I would take out Harry Kane for Anthony Gordon, which means that Gordon would then be on the left, Foden would then be in the middle, and I would push Jude Bellingham further forward where he plays for Real Madrid and just have them all being creative, making the movements they need to make. You would then have Trent on the right being able to whip balls in behind to Saka, Foden and Bellingham, or play the diagonal all the way across to Anthony Gordon, who can then stretch the defence. For me, this is the best lineup if you're playing 4-2-3-1. But I mean, like I said, I really think this is an unrealistic expectation. Gareth Southgate will not go for this. But personally, this is what I would do if we were going to continue to play 4-2-3-1. If it was actually down to me, my option 2 would be to play a 4-3-3. Again, you do the backline the same way. If for you that is Walker, Stones, Konsa, Shaw, so be it. For me, it would still be Trent, Walker, Stones and Shaw. Then a midfield 3 of Rice, Bellingham and Foden, getting Foden and Bellingham in the middle of the pitch. Saka on the right, Gordon on the left. And I've initially put Harry Kane up front. However, again, I would then change this to Ivan Toney because what we saw from Ivan Toney when he came off the bench the other day is he is so much better at hold-up play. And again, you think of the players that I've put behind them. You've got Trent in there. You've got Foden and Bellingham in there. All going to be able to feed that ball into Ivan Toney and then bring Gordon, Saka, bring it back to Foden and Bellingham. You've got all these players that he can feed the ball onto. It would bring the creative players into the game so much more than Harry Kane does. Because Harry Kane drops off so far, it then stifles the creativity of the players around him. You put Ivan Toney up front, you leave him up front, he brings all those creative players into play. And I do think there is a chance it could work. The only issue is, obviously, the reports and obviously what people say is that Declan Rice can't play holding midfield on his own. So I understand that. I think it would be difficult, especially if we are then playing Foden and Bellingham as the two around him. But I also think against a Swiss midfield that is a two-man midfield where either one of the centre-backs tries to join in or one of the wing-backs tries to join in midfield. I think a midfield 3 in the core of having Rice, Foden and Bellingham, I really do think would end up overpowering that Swiss midfield. But like I say, for me, I think 4-3-3 is an unrealistic option, especially with Gareth Southgate in charge. But I would strongly consider it as a possibility if I were in charge of the England team. That then brings us to option 3, which is to play a 3-4-3 formation. For those of you that are viewing it, you will see that I've put up several options for each position here. The back 4, shall we say, of Pickford, Stones, Walker and Konsa, I think that's just a lock. I think that would be the back 3 if we are going to do a 3 at the back or a 5 at the back. It then comes down to who plays in the other positions. You've got right wing-back options of Trent, Saka and Trippier. You've got left wing-back options of Shaw, Trippier and Eze. Not Bukayo Saka, because it's been made evidently clear he does not want to play on that side. So much so that when Eze came on the other day, Saka went from left wing-back to right wing-back, and Eze played left wing-back, which just makes no sense in my head. But clearly Saka's not going to play on the left, so he can't play there. In midfield, you've then got the options of Rice and Bellingham as a pair, Bellingham and Mainu as a pair, or Mainu and Bellingham as a pair. There's ways you can do the middle two. And then obviously the right wing option would be Palmer, Foden or Saka, because I don't think it would be Jared Bowen. Your left wing options are Gordon, Foden and Eze. And then up front again, it's Kane or Toney, because I don't think it would ever be Ollie Watkins. If I were to play like this, I would play it like this. I would have obviously Pickford's, Walker, Stones and Konsa. I would have Trent on the right wing back, Bellingham and Rice in the middle, Shaw at left wing back, Foden on the right wing, Gordon on the left wing and Ivan Toney up front once again. I think this would be a very, very good shape to play against the Swiss, considering that they also play a similar system. And I just think you look at those England players in that system and we're just a better team. Again, I'd have Toney as the hold-up player to bring all those others in. But what I would also say is that we are playing a 3 at the back or a 5 at the back. I don't think it can work effectively if Luke Shaw isn't available. I wouldn't even be touching 5 at the back or 3 at the back without Luke Shaw. For me, he has to play in the left wing back role. Otherwise, it's just not going to work because, as I've already said, Bukayo Saka is refusing to play on that side of the pitch, which is fair enough. He feels like he can't play that position properly, so it is what it is. Would I be starting Eberechi Eze at left wing back in a major quarter-final? No, I wouldn't. So for me, it's Luke Shaw or bust. I also wouldn't play Trippier out there for the same reasons. I just wouldn't work. It'd be too imbalanced for me. That's how I play it. But I don't think, again, it's an option that Gareth Southgate is going to be thinking about, because what I think he's going to be thinking about is option 4, which is the 5-4-1, which is obviously how we finished the match last time out. And that would be, again, Pickford in goal, a 5 at the back of Trippier, Walker, Stones, Concert and Shaw. Because again, I think it would be Luke Shaw. I don't think it would be Eze. I don't think it would be Trippier at left wing back and Trent at right wing back. It could be. It could be. You then have a flat midfield 4 of Saka, Bellingham, Rice and Foden, and then Harry Kane up front. The reason why I've done it this way is because this is what I believe is the other option that Gareth Southgate could go for. This is the 20% chance. It's either the bog standard 4-2-3-1 with Konsa coming in at centre-back and everyone else staying the same, or it's 5-4-1 where Luke Shaw is fit and available. He comes in at left wing-back, Trippier goes to right wing-back, as it was against Italy 3 years ago. Then you've got the midfield 4 in front of him, and then Harry Kane trying to link it all together. I think if we played like this, I actually think we'd have more chance of getting a result against Switzerland, because they obviously play 3 at the back as well. So I think Gareth Southgate will definitely consider this as an option, as a way of beating Switzerland. I just don't think this is attack-minded enough to then end up getting a result. I think it's going to be too congested. I think we're going to be too deep, and we're just ultimately not going to create enough chances, especially if Harry Kane is dropping off the front, which would essentially make this formation a 5-5-none. So watch this space. I think this is what Gareth Southgate may go for if Luke Shaw is fit, but it's not for me. My other option, if we were going to play a outright 5 at the back, would then be to go for a 5-3-2, whereby, again, you have the back 4, as we said, about Pickford, Walker, Stones and Konsa. You would then again have Trent at right wing back, Rice in the middle, Shaw at left wing back, a midfield 2 of Foden and Bellingham to be creative, and then a front 2 of Ivan Toney and Harry Kane. I think this could also work. I think the partnership, albeit very brief, between Toney and Kane did start to look effective, with Kane coming off and Toney holding the ball up and feeding Kane, which then created the opportunities for the like of Palmer and Saka to get on the ball as and where they could. Again, I think against the Swiss, this could work, but it certainly wouldn't be an option that I would be rushing to immediately. I would just throw it out there as a suggestion of what I think could work. So for me, like I say, those are really your 5 options as to how I think we could play. If it was down to me, I would be going for that 4-3-3 setup, but like I say, I think that's an unrealistic option. For Gareth Southgate, I think it is literally just going to be option 1 with Edri Konsa put in at centre-back for Mark Guehi, but it could very well be that option 4 with the 5 at the back, with the 4 in midfield, and with Harry Kane up front. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. It's obviously been a massive topic of conversation ever since the Slovakia game finished. How would you play? What would be your starting lineup? What formation would you use? What tactics would you use? Is winning the Euros worth Gareth Southgate continuing through to the World Cup in 2 years' time? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I'll be back tomorrow with the return of the Copa America. I'll see you there.